Hello, friends and loved ones around the world. It's me, the most dangerous man alive today, bringing you another edition of Classic MMA Revival. And today, fight fans, we are going to be watching Universal Vale Tudo Fighting number 2. I figured since I did Universal Vale Tudo Fighting 1, might as well keep the series going and do number 2. And oh boy, what a great set of fights we have tonight. We're going to be seeing a lot of old favorites. We're going to be seeing Carlos Burrito, Pedro Tavio, Hoyler Gracie, Valid Ishmael, Hugo Duarte, Murillo Bustamante, John Dixon. We're going to also see Jerry Harris and Joe Charles, the Ghetto Man. So anyway, looks like a fun night of fights. Why don't I just press play here and we'll talk more about it. I'm pressing play in 3, 2, 1, play. Here we go. Oh boy, look at this fucking silly animation. How much did that cost them? This event takes place in Brazil in parts unknown inside Brazil. It might be at that one place that they hold all the Brazilian MMA fights at, the one with the goofy looking ceiling. But we'll see. I don't know if it's the same place. No, this is more of an arena here. Way too high of a ceiling. So it's not that basement with the weird shit on the ceiling. This might be one of our first fighters here. No idea who he is. Oh, yeah, by the way, this event took place on June 24th, 1996. This might be our first two fighters here are Brazilian who you've never heard of. We're going to see Adelson Lima. Beta is his nickname. Is he coming into this Wings of Fire? Chariots of Fire? Wings of Fire. Chariots of Fire. It's Adelson Lima taking on Indio Rodriguez. Prior to this, Adelson had fought 5 times. Make that 3 times. He fought at the Absolute Fighting Championship number 1. He fought 3 times there. He lost to Igor Volchanchin twice. Why did he fight Igor twice? I don't know, but he got KO'd with kicks and punches, and then he got a TKO due to a broken nose. That might be Adelson, not sure, that we're seeing. And who's coming out in the gi here? I don't know. This could be Indio. We'll figure it out soon enough, fight fans. If this is Indio, this would be his first fight, his debut fight. Though I don't think it is. I think this might be Adelson. We'll see. I'll just shut up for a minute. Maybe we can determine. And he's coming out to another copyright claimed song here that we all know. Here we go. Oh yeah. Oh, so that's Beta there in the gi, and that must be Indio. So Adelson here, well, he had to fight Igor Volchanchin twice when Igor was really hot on the scene in MMA. I think he had just come from steady kickboxing in 1995, the IAFC Absolute Fighting Championship number 1. Took place in November of 95. That's a tough task. I wonder how he got put in a position that he had to fight Igor twice, although he lost to him. I don't know. That whole IAFC number 1 is kind of confusing. But anyway, here we go. This is the darker one with the longer hair. That's Indio. And then you got Beta. Is he a Gracie-trained jiu-jitsu specialist? They're just, what are you doing? Fight! Punch each other! The crowd is getting restless already. The crowd is, and they got music playing in the background. I guess that was their idea, to make it more exciting or to make it more interesting, have some music playing in the background. They're really sticking to it here. They haven't thrown a strike in. There he goes. Indio goes in. He gets taken down by Adelson. Adelson is in half guard, or kind of side control half guard. The knees in between. what would you call that? A knee and half guard. And I don't know if Indio knows if he's pulling on the trunks there. What is he going to take his trunks down? It's gay. He's got a tight grip on them trunks. Now, what would be funny if he slips his hand down in the trunks? Ooh, he could grab something else. I'm not really sure he knows what is he going to give him a wedgie? Is he Nelson from The Simpsons? Now, Adelson is in full side control. Bita here, not sure if he should be punching right there. He's got his fist ready. He can still hold on to the trunks, you know, and use it, the tension of the trunks being pulled to like rubber band his hand. He's trying to pull him over him. It's not going to work. Not when he's in side control. He should be punching here, and I don't know why he isn't, and I don't know why Adelson isn't. So it's just a grappling match. If it is, this is shitty, very shitty. Adelson should be kneeing here. They should be striking, but maybe Adelson here isn't much of a striker. Oh, he's really getting a fucking wedgie now. Holy shit, he's stretched them shorts out all. He's there. They'll never be the same again. He's stretched them out so bad. Oh, there we go. Nice. That's what you should do. Punch him right in the kidneys. Oh, boy. Well, fight fans, what do you think of this fight? His face says it all right there. This fucking guy. Oh, Adelson's moving over to mount here. There you go. The crowd is excited for that. And still, Allison hasn't thrown. I call him Allison. Adelson hasn't thrown a single strike at all. He's just grappling here. Okay, something just happened there as the camera cut. I guess he punched him in the head. Oh, Indio, now they're throwing punches. Oh, those hurt. Those bare-fisted punches hurt. That kind of hurts. Like, nuggies! Just starts wrapping him in the fucking top of the head. Oh, he tapped out. He tapped out. Okay, there you go. Adelson Lima. Boo, the crowd doesn't like it. They want to see blood. They come here for blood. Not for this shit. So there you go. Oh, fireman carry. That was very sweet. Adelson Lima, winner via choke of some sort. Okay, why are they replaying the circling? Okay, the takedown. Wow, that was so impressive. Kind of looks like Minotauro, or one of the Nogueira brothers. Maybe like a Nogueira, a retarded cousin of the Nogueiras. There we go! They got to use that animation. And we're getting a replay from Universal Vale Tudo fighting number 1, where you had Koji Katao on top of stupid motherfucker Pedro Tavio. God, I hate Pedro Tavio. But, you know, at the same time, I hate Pedro Tavio, but I love him. It's a love-hate relationship. More of a hate-hate relationship. But there's some love in there. Look at this stupid motherfucker. He's giving him little slaps right in the side of the face. That doesn't hurt. Punching him in the back of the head. Koji Katao's big mistake here is he should have been punching him and elbowing him while he was on top, because once he lets Pedro get out here and sort of grapple his giant body, yeah. Of course, Pedro, he's trying to be, oh, there he goes, stepping on the back of his head. Pedro's trying to be like a, like a reviled character, because otherwise no one cares about him. Who cares about the fucking Pedro? The guy's a loser. Look at that. Did you see that Japanese cornerman of Katao there? He wasn't happy. He was giving the Pedro a dirty look. He's got his, oh my God, what would you call this shirt? A half turtleneck? He seriously looks like he has Down syndrome. So maybe maybe I should take it easy on Pedro. Whoa, who the fuck is this? Is that his opponent, or is that some homeless man they found on the street? That might be his opponent there. Our second matchup here. Oh, before I get too far ahead, what would become of our two previous fighters, Adelson and Indio? Adelson would go on to have 3 more fights after that. He would fight Mikhail Ilukin, Alexander Fedorov, and Augusto Urso. He'd win all of those matches via submission. As for Indio, he would only have 1 more fight after this, and that would happen at VIP Stage 6, all the way off in 2010. What? 14 years? And by the way, the Pedro's opponent there just came out to Indiana Jones. Yeah, 14 years before fights. Why would you come out of retirement? You fight once, go into retirement, and then come out in 2010? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, Indio would lose that one too, via submission to Rude Naked Choke. So we have our second match here, which is the Pedro Tavio. We know something about that guy. His opponent here is Adolfo de la Rosa, and this is his first fight. Prior to this, Pedro had 3 fights. He fought at Defacio, that rather obscure event in 1995, a Vale Tudo event. He beat both his opponents that night. No, he didn't. He beat his first opponent and then lost to his second opponent. Then he beat Koji Katal. Here we go, round 1. I'm not really prepared for this fight, fans. I don't have my usual notes set up, so I'm trying to go on the fly here. Usually I put in much more effort into these, where I write down the notes. That takes up a lot of time, you know. And I got the fucking music blaring in the background. So let's go, Adolfo. Kick the shit out of this motherfucker. Get him, yes. You hurt him. Oh, yeah. Has he got gloves on? That's smart. I've been chastised enough by people when I object to guys in a bare-knuckle fight wearing gloves. Where they say, well, you don't want to break his hands. You can hit harder with the gloves on. Okay. All right. I get it. What was that? Was that a get the fuck out of here, bitch? that was that strike. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Whoa, that was a bitch fist. This guy is going to get crushed. Listen. Whoa, he's dancing. Listen, if there's anything I know about the Pedro is he was an adequate MMA fighter, and this fucking guy he's fighting, holy shit. Whoa, this is a smell my feet kick right there. Just at the end of his nose. This guy, is he a boxer? Is he an amateur boxer? Adolfo? Whoa, look at them lightning strikes. Oh, Pedro gets on top of him into the chain link fence. We got the music playing. We got some bad tracking on the VHS copy here. A horrible copy. Adolfo's grabbing the cage here as this camera follows the action as we squirm into the center of the ring. And the Pedro has mount. This is not good for Adolfo. Pedro's a much bigger man than Adolfo here. He still tries to strike the back of the head. He should be turning. He should be rolling. Spinning from bottom here. What the fuck is happening? What are you doing? Who is this fucking guy that just came out? Is that the ref? I didn't notice that was the ref. It just looked like some vagrant jumped into the cage. Oh my god, this is a bad situation for Adolfo. Ouch, ouch. He's got his arm. His left arm is wrapped up. Ow. Ow. He's got his left arm wrapped up, trapped behind his head, and Pedro got off a couple good strikes there. Pedro's going to do it again. The ref, get out of the way! We can't see, you dumb motherfucker! Subway. It's great that the Brazilian franchise of the Brazilian entity of Subway has sponsored this event. Subway, eat fresh. Said he's tapping out. Wow, that's another quick fight. There you go. Pedro Tavio, winner via, I assume, submission to strikes. Adolfo's giving him a dirty look there. So what would become of our two top Brazilian fighters here? Of course, Pedro would have a long and illustrious career after this. He would fight next at Universal Vale Tudo fighting number 3, where he'd fight Manabu Ohara. After that, he would fight in the Universal Vale Tudo 5. He would fight in Freestyle de Belém, Brazil Open, International Vale Tudo Championships, and of course, one appearance in Pride FC. But among many others, he would fight until 2001, and his record would end at 19-8. Not too shabby. As for Adolfo De La Rosa, this was his one and only MMA fight. Makes sense. He would retire into the countryside of Brazil to pursue a career in LASIK eye surgery. Huh. Imagine that. Our next fight in Universal Vale Tudo fighting number 2 sees that man right there, Carlos Burrito. He's going to be taking on John Dixon. Yep. I was going to say something there, but then I forgot what I was going to say. Carlos Burrito here, he was 28 years old. Scratch that. Make that, it's 27 years old at the time. He's going to be taking on John Dixon. Big John Dixon. I hope to God John is wearing his iconic lucky black shirt. We shall see. John Dixon was 32 years old for this fight. And we're getting a recap here, and I think this is again from Universal Vale Tudo fighting number 1, where Carlos Burrito beat Mikhail Alukin. Mikhail Alukin, of course, was a more famous rings fighter who actually did not. He didn't have a shabby MMA career. He's one of the only men to beat Igor Volchanchin in the 90s. He did pretty well prior to him kind of jumping into rings. He won the Absolute Fighting Eurasia Championship by beating 5 men in one night. That's pretty impressive. And he beat them all in the first round, most of them under a minute. Then he went to the IAFC Absolute Fighting Championship number 1, the Russian one, where he got all the way to the finals but lost to Ricardo Moraes. Just prior to Universal Vale Tudo fighting number 2 here, he lost. He beat Wataru Sakata at Rings Budokan Hall 1996, which was a worked event. So why is that included on his professional record here? We shall never know. In fact, I covered that. No, I think I covered Budokan Hall in 1995. No, I covered Budokan Hall 1996. It's in the Rings, the first Rings Redux that I did. If you're interested in seeing it, go check it out. Anyway, we saw John Dixon was in fact wearing his lucky black shirt, his iconic black shirt. I love it. I wonder if it has the same moth holes. And he's got, you saw right there, we just saw Jerry Harris is in his corner. Similar to the IPKL, Night of the Diamond. John Dixon and Gary Harris were kind of working together in that one as well. Carlos Burrito's got, what is that, 6 inches? It looks like 6 inches. Carlos Burrito is listed at 6'4". John Dixon is listed at 6 foot. Yeah, maybe. He might be more like 5'11". Carlos Burrito probably doesn't need to exaggerate his height. But, you know, guys who are like 5'11", they'll often say, I'm 6 foot. Here we go. We're clinched. Some good shots of the body. Although we all famously remember John Dixon as the tomato can and Pride 1, who got beat in that work against a lump of shit. Remember this dipshit from Pride 1, Kazunori Murakami? That was a worked fight for sure. John Dixon in the beginning here, he wasn't too shabby. He took Igor Volchanchin to the limits in their fight. He's on the bottom here, getting punched in the head by Carlos Burrito, and he's trying to punch him back. in the back of the head. I guess, you know what? Looking more at his record, he was a tomato can. But he showed signs of being a pretty good fighter. If you go check out the live stream I did for IPKL, it's also called Combat in Kiev, IFC #1. It's got 2 different names. I don't know why. He looked pretty impressive in that, and he got all the way to the final against Igor. He beat his first 2 opponents, first one with a guillotine, and then the second one with a submission of strikes. He looked pretty good. So, I don't know. I don't know what happened to him. In fact, that was... Oh, he's getting rocked here. Burrito's on top, just raining down hell. Oof. That's it for Dixon. He's bloody. Wow, that was another quick one. Holy mackerel. How fast was that? And there you go. Carlos Burrito, winner via... I would call that TKO. I didn't see John Dixon tapping out there. I'd say that's a ref stoppage TKO. Carlos Burrito looked great. Wow. Let's see this again. Let's see if we can see a tap, or maybe it was a verbal submission. He's raking the eyes there. A little distracting rake of the eyes, and he starts pounding away. And then once he breaks free here, he just unleashes. He's grabbing a fence like a cheating motherfucker. Some dramatic music here, like a funeral procession. Was he tapping out? Yeah, he was tapping out to the side of the head. I think he was tapping out there. He was trying to slap him. Is he? I didn't see a tap out there when the ref stopped it. Maybe it was a verbal submission. Maybe John Dixon was crying for his mother. Does that count as submitting? Mama, help! So there you go, Carlos Burrito victorious. What would become of our 2 fighters here after this event? Carlos Burrito immediately after this would fight at the Mars Martial Arts Reality Super Fighting event in November of '96. He would beat Alexander Rafalski. Then he would fight in Universal Vale Tudo Fighting #6, which was a tournament, and he would actually beat Kevin Randleman in the finals. He would fight at the Brazil Open, UFC 15. He'd fight in a couple IVCs, and of course, remember him in Pride 6. He lost to decision against Igor Volchanshin. There's Helios Gracie, who's looked that same age for about 50 years. Look at him at the Pride 2000 Grand Prix finals where Sakuraba fought Royce Gracie. He looked exactly the same. And that was, 6 years after this, or 5 years, whatever. Anyway, as for Big John Dixon, after this, he would fight at the IAFC Absolute Fighting Championships #2. He would lose to Maxim Tarasov. He would fight Dan Severn at IFC 5, Battle in the Bayou. He would lose to him. Of course, he would fight at Pride FC #1, losing to, remember this dipshit from Pride 1? Kazunori Murakami. Anyway, moving on. So we're having a little, it looks like we're having a little ceremony here to give Helios Gracie some kind of award or recognition for everything he's done for, I guess, jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Who's this fucking clown? His tie is too long. He needs to put some mousse in that hair. Look at those orangutan hands he's got. Holy shit, this motherfucker's got the biggest, ugliest hands I think I've ever seen. Who is this guy? Does anybody know who this guy is? He's got no style. Maybe he's he looks like he looks like a big dude. I wonder if he was a fighter or was a fighter. Or is that maybe the inventor of oh god. Here's a better dressed man with cream colored pants. Look at that tie. That's what brings it all together. The tie's no. I was gonna say the tie has what? Oop. There you go, buddy. He's got big, ugly hands too. What is this common for Brazilians to have giant, ungodly looking hands? What is happening? The crowd, look at that sweater that Helios has on. Is this Luta Livre, the masters of Luta Livre? They're challenging Gracie here. They're dressing him down in the ring. We've had a couple Luta Livre fighters in. Well, we had one Luta Livre fighter for sure, Pedro, the Pedro Tavio, and we'll see Hugo Duarte later. Another Luta Livre. Carlos Burrito, though, was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Okay, we had a hard cut there. This is the first time I've personally heard Helios Gracie talking here. Lovely sweater. It looks like 1980s fashion from America slowly made its way southward, and Brazil finally gets it in the 90s. You know, this is like a sweater from America that was popular in America around 1983. 13 years later in Brazil, it finally surfaced as style. There's a pretty big crowd here for this. There's Royler Gracie, who's going to be in our next fight here. And speaking of that, we have Royler Gracie taking on Ivan Lee. This is Ivan Lee's first fight. So probably not a good matchup for him. I don't know. This guy is from Canada, apparently. And he was about 20 years old, maybe 19. So not a good first career fight to be taking on a Gracie. Royler Gracie, who is a pretty good Gracie. Wasn't a bad Gracie. This is also Gracie's first fight as well. So maybe it is a little not so unfair. I think people might think people might think Royler Gracie is better than he actually was. He wasn't that amazing. He was okay. But like his brothers, Rickson and Royce, he didn't really fight a whole lot professionally. I don't know what he's saying here, so I kind of wish they'd hurry up. You know, Royler, people I think they remember more fondly Royler Gracie as being better than he was. He was okay. I'm not taking anything away from Royler Gracie. He was okay, but he wasn't like some world beater. The Gracies are great at self-promotion. You know, people always think that Rickson Gracie is one of the best all time, despite the fact that he fought nobodies. He fought. Oh boy, what was that? A little indigestion there, fight fans. He literally fought Japanese pro wrestlers and beat them up. He had one legitimate fight in his career, and that was against Masakazu Funaki, who at the time, and that would wind up being Rickson Gracie's last fight, although he had plans to fight after that Masakazu Funaki fight. He had plans to fight Ogawa, but then Rickson's son died in an accident, and that kind of spurred Rickson's permanent retirement. I think Rickson probably would have destroyed Ogawa, but that would have been part of the course for Rickson's fighting career. And here comes, okay, we're coming out to Indiana Jones. What is up with these music selections? It's like they have a CD of famous movie soundtracks, and that's just what's in the sound system. when they arrived to set up the the event, they're like, there's already a CD in here for the PA system. Just play it. Because we had Chariots of Fire, we had that other one, that opera march. Now we have Indiana Jones again. So that's Ivan Lee. Ivan Lee, Canadian. He doesn't look Canadian. Just kidding. Here we go. Ivan Lee, what's his stance? What is he doing? What is that? Kempo? Oh, he's climbing up Hoyler here. He's a lot smaller than Hoyler. Hoyler is, what is he? 5'8". He's listed at. Ivan Lee's here is listed at 5'3". Hoyler's on top. This is not good for Ivan Lee. He's in his karate trunks there. I think that was Kempo he was doing there. I am not an expert on Japanese martial arts or their stances, but I know enough. I'm educated guessing that was Kempo. Anyway. Hoyler here is getting into mount. Not a pretty sight here for old Ivan Lee. I think the end is going to be coming soon here. So anyway, going back to the Gracies, like Renzo Gracie was a fighting Gracie. That side of the Gracie family was more fighters. Hoyler, I want to say Hoyler, I'm pretty sure. He is Hoyce and Hickson's brother or half-brother. And Renzo is a cousin. Ivan Lee just tapped out there to a rear naked choke. Yes, I am correct. Hickson and Hoyce are his brothers. And Renzo is a cousin. So anyway, that side of the the Helio sons, great at self-promotion, great at making everybody believe that they're the baddest on the planet. When you look at their record, it's not that spectacular. So that was quick work there for Hoyler in his first fight. Hoyler's first fight here, despite the fact that he was 31 years old, 30 years old, scratch that. He was 30 years old, and this was his first pro fight. Kind of strange. After this, Hoyler would fight at Vale, Tudo, Japan, 96, beating Noboru Asashi. Then he would, that fight against Naoki Yuhi Sano at Pride 2. We remember that awful piece of shit. Stinker of a fight. 33 minutes. He'd then fight Sakuraba at Pride 8, where he would get his arm mangled. Then after that, he would sort of fight sparingly up until 2011. He would fight in 2001 at Deep, the first Deep event. A draw, Genki Sudo at K1 Romanex. In 2004, Rumble on the Rock, number 6, 2004, 2005, Heroes 2, Heroes 3, 2005. And his final fight would be in 2011 at Amazon Force Combat number 1, where he would fight Masakazu Ueda. Anyway, as for Ivan Lee, he would only fight once more after this, and that was at Reality Combat Fighting in August of 96. That fight would go over 30 minutes against Jason Canals. I'm glad we don't have to see that one. Our next fight here is going to see Katsumi Usata. He's going to be taking on Valade Ishmael. Actually, what would be funny is that this would be, for old Katsumi, you might know him. You're like, where do I know this guy from? Well, if you watched that U Japan classic MMA revival I did, well, he was in that, and just like in that, he fought Valide Ishmael. This would be his duo of fights, his first of two against Valide Ishmael. They tried to build this up as some sort of grudge match, although it wasn't much of a grudge, as Valide Uh, not to spoil it here, fight fans, but Valid would handily beat him twice. There's Valid mad dogging him already. I like Valid. You know what? I can't say anything bad about Valid. I actually like him wholly. He's an ugly motherfucker. I like that about him. He's kind of a take no shit kind of guy. But like some other Brazilian fighters, you know what? His career wasn't too bad. Looking at it, he only had 12 total fights. He would go 9-3 over that. He'd stopped fighting in 2002. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I just want to kind of gloss over Valid here. He didn't do too bad. I wonder why he stopped fighting. He actually doesn't look too ugly here. He would get uglier as time went on here. And Katsumi Usada, I don't think he really knows how to fight. He's doing some sort of bad stance here where his jabbing, it looks pathetic. Holy shit. See, at least Valid, okay, his jabbing isn't much better. It's pretty robotic. It's a lot better than Katsumi's here. Oh, he just rocked him there with a punch, and Katsumi sort of dives for the mat. Hope he's going to get the legs up. Valid is going to pass here. I'm not sure about Valid's skills. Just prior to this, Valid had only fought twice before. We saw him at Universal Vale Tudo fighting number 1, where he beat Dennis Cavalinos, and then he fought at the Defecio Jiu-Jitsu versus Luta Livre. I think one of the pioneer events of Brazilian MMA fighting. I haven't seen that one personally myself. I've seen clips here and there. He beat Eugenio Tadao via TKO after 16 minutes. So this is the third fight here for Valid, and the first fight for Katsumi. Valid has the leg hooked here. Katsumi is going for a guillotine. He's not going to get much here. Valid is trying to break out. He's not doing a whole lot to break out. He might try and pick up and slam Katsumi here. He should be punching. There you go. He should be punching the body. He gets in deep on that single. Katsumi didn't have anywhere to go, so he just sort of fell. Valid is back on top here. He improves the half guard. Katsumi should be working to wrist control to minimize. Well, Valid isn't doing much striking, so I don't think he's too worried about that. But he should be trying to control the wrist here of Valid. And he should be doing more than just laying there and sort of lackadaisically and looking up into the ceiling. He's just like, Valid now trying to get off some punches to the face. Katsumi is not showing anything here. And Valid is not showing a whole lot more. But he's showing enough that I could tell where this fight is going to go. Valid is trying to break out into mount here, and he's mostly got his leg sort of pulled out there. But Katsumi's he's got fat thighs. He's got him really locked down. It's like a vice. So Valid's trying to open him up here with some punches. Valid is already pouring out sweat. He's got advertisements all over his ass. Kind of curious for this early on in MMA for him to have sponsors. He's working lefts here, not really getting a whole lot of power behind him, but he might have hurt Katsumi there as Katsumi goes to cover his face, and now Valid gets in the mount and he's raining down hell. Katsumi is tapping out. Wow, and the ref didn't see it. He tapped out, ref. Now he's getting choked. Wow. He's like, get this fucker off me. How many times do I have to tap out? He tapped out once from strikes. The ref ignores it or wasn't paying attention. Maybe he was thinking of what he was going to get on his Subway sandwich when catering comes by. He's going to take the Italian meats. The Italian meats trio. Katsumi here, poor guy. He's tapping out and the ref doesn't help him. And then he's getting choked viciously. And then he taps out, and finally the ref helps him. Dear God. After this, Katsumi would fight 3 more times, going 1 and 2 over that time. He would fight at U Japan. You can check that out. I did a classic MMA revival for that one, where he fought again, Vale Ishmael, but he lost again the same way, around the same amount of time, rear naked choke. Then he went to King of the Cage 9 Showtime to fight Shannon Rich, who gave him a heel hook victory. I think that was a work. And then he fought Ryo Chonan in 2002 at Deep 6th Impact. And he would end his career after that. He would lose to Ryo Chonan via TKO at 5 seconds from a flying knee and punches. Wow. As for Valid, after this, he would beat Katsumi Usada again. He'd go to the UFC 12, to fight Kazuo Takahashi. Lost via decision. Then he'd fight in IVC 3, IVC 5, beating Yohil de Oliveira, Gary Myers. Come to Pride for Pride 4, Akira Soji. Then after that was in 1998. He would take about 2.5 years off. He'd come back for Pride 15, Raging Rumble, to fight Shungo Oyama, beating him with the arm triangle. Pride 19, next we'll see him. That will be our next immediate Pride Resurrection. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be coming soon. Getting to work on it. Here's Hugo Duarte, our next fight. Hugo gushing like a split pig there. He's going to be taking on Jerry Harris. Prior to this, Hugo Duarte had only fought twice before. He fought Marcelo Raul at Geisy Challenge Vale Tudo number 2. I would love to find these Geisy Challenge Vale Tudos. I've tried to find them. But I must admit I haven't looked that hard. Maybe they're out there now. Jeff Mazeos, he uploads a whole lot of stuff. He's got a good channel if you want to check out some old MMA without annoying American comments. And then he fought Desuel Berto at Universal Vale Tudo Fighting 1. We saw that. Gary Harris here. Gary Harris, this was his 3rd fight. He fought at UFC 7 Brawl in Buffalo, where he lost to Paul Valorens in 1 minute via submission to elbows. And then he fought Igor Garas at Combat in Kiev, IPKL, Night of the Diamond. 15-second KO. I remember watching that. Hilarious. Gary Harris said he was doing it for the kids. He got crushed. He got fucking crushed, and he's wearing the jobber singlet. Hugo Duarte almost has a pointed head, as if he was a Conehead, you know, from the movie Coneheads. Hugo Duarte, he's got eject on his ass. What does that mean? Is that like exit only? Well, big lift and slam there by Hugo, and he's going to town on Gary Harris. He's tapping out! What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God, Gary. Gary. What the hell was that? Why? Oh my God. Oh my God. He like, as soon as he hits the ground, he's ready to tap. Wow, this is bad. He takes one little knuckle to the side. That one misses. That one misses. That one doesn't hit. That didn't hit. He didn't get hit once and he tapped out. Oh my God. This just hurts my brain. Wow, Hugo Duarte. Put a bend in that hat, son. Anyway, after this, Gary Harris would only fight twice more in his career. Why would he continue to fight? This was horrible. 8 seconds. Hugo Duarte. He lost to Hugo Duarte in 8 fucking seconds. That is when you retire. Anyway, Gary Harris would fight at IFC number 2, Mayhem in Mississippi, where he would defeat, he'd actually get a win against Harry Moskowicz via guillotine. Then he'd fight Valissi Kudin at IFC Absolute Fighting Championships number 2. He would lose in 19 seconds again. Okay, fucking retire, quit. Sorry, Gary, but that's kind of pathetic. Hugo Duarte, after this, would fight at Universal Vale Tudo Fighting 3, winning against Harold Howard. Then Steve Shedden at World Fighting Federation, defeating him with a submission due to rear naked choke in 28 seconds. Pretty good. Then he'd fight Tank Abbott at UFC 17. He would get crushed in 43 seconds. Then he would fight Mark Kerr at Pride 4. Of course, he'd get crushed again because he was a lump of shit. And then he'd fight fucking Mikhail Vetstian. And then Bob Schreiber. Who cares? Moving on. The main event here, we see Joe, the Ghetto Man Charles, taking on Murillo Bustamante. Believe it or not, Murillo Bustamante. Murillo here was 19 years old. No, scratch that. He was 29 years old. I'm getting ahead of myself. He was 29. He was born in 1966. My math is very bad. See, I usually write this stuff down, so I'm prepared. But like I said, I'm flying more on the fly here. Flying more on the fly. I just said that. Flying more on the fly. Yes, that's what I'm doing. The Ghetto Man here. He was born in 1958, so he is about 38 years old, 36, 37. He's one of those. He had, prior to this, 4 fights. He was 2-2. He fought at UFC 4, beating Kevin Rossier. UFC 5, he lost to Dan Severn, rear naked choke. Then he fought at United Full Contact Federation number 2, defeated by Carl Franks due to submission of punches. Then he fought and beat Scott Basak at UFC Ultimate 95. Here we go. Murillo Bustamante shoots in, dodges a punch there. The Ghetto Man is going to get taken down, I think. They're in the cage. Prior to this, Bustamante had only fought once at Defacio Jiu-Jitsu versus Luta Livre, where he defeated Marcelo Mendes via TKO in the first round. I think they only had 1 round in that event. They just had 1 long continuous round. So here we are. We're up against the cage. Murillo is really working hard for this takedown, but the Ghetto Man, he's quite a bit of man. He's probably hard to get down. He is a beefy fellow. He's got a front choke here on Murillo. Not sure he knows what to do with it. Kind of yanks it there. Murillo's working to get out of this. Maybe it is pretty tight, but Joe is kind of giving up on it. Now he's got the... Oh, and he muscles Murillo down. Murillo's still worried about the neck, I think. He's just sort of letting himself be manhandled here, as he's worried about the neck. Nice little knee from Ghetto Man here. And look at the ass on that one. He must work out. He has got a ghetto ass, that's for sure. Oh, and Murillo's working to get up here. Oh, and he reverses the position. It's not good for Ghetto Man. Not sure if he knows much about ground fighting or fighting from the bottom. He's getting rocked here from Bustamante. Wow, he's getting peppered in the face. Ghetto Man, he's a tough fellow, though. Not sure that's going to work unless he gets some really clean shots off on him. Somebody just threw something into the fucking cage. What was that, a sock? Instant replay on that. Here, they're back up. Ghetto Man has the neck once again. He's kind of working this arm-in guillotine. He's going to gas his arm out. Ooh, nice. He breaks with the knee there, then a good punch, and he said something. I don't know if he is shit-talking. Get him, Ghetto Man. Oh, poking the eyes there by Murillo Bustamante. He just literally put his fingers right towards Ghetto Man's eyes. Not sure if it actually connected, but It was sort of a distracting eye poke, like he's a Three Stooge. Yuck, 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 yuck. Coming right at you. Actually, Ghetto Man would make a good Curly. If they made an updated Three Stooges movie and Curly was black, he would make a perfect Curly. At least at this point in time, back in 1996. Not any longer. Well, actually, maybe he could still make a good Curly. So Murillo's on top here. He's in mount. Ghetto Man is in a tough position here. He's getting arm triangled. Murillo hops over to the side to sink this in tighter and finish it, and he's going to get it. He's turning the clock here, going towards midnight, but 9 o'clock is fine, and it works. There you go. Ghetto Man taps out. He lost the guillotine choke. Oh, and he's exhausted. He doesn't look like he has much of a gas tank. And Murillo Bustamante is victorious. And I would say this is his first proper MMA fight. Because that DeFacio event back in 1991, Jiu-Jitsu versus Luta Livre, a bunch of guys fought in it. And in fact, I should do a classic MMA revival for that. A bunch of guys fought. There was 3 fights. 6 guys fought at it. I don't know what that event really is. I've seen clips of it. And I've referred to it before, as we've seen these guys appear in Pride. Fabio Gurgel fought Danielson Maya. Murillo Bustamante fought Marcelo Mendez. And Valid Ismail fought Eugenio Tadao. Marcelo Mendez. That? Oh my God, that is the guy that fought at Universal Vale Tudo Fighting #1. You know, the really effeminate one that fought Michael Stamm. If you haven't seen it, go check it out now. I do some hilarious comments on that whole fight that I can't replicate right now. But it is a hilarious fight, and I am livid throughout the majority of the fight. Anyway, if you haven't seen that, go check it out. All I've been doing tonight is directing you to go see other classic MMA revivals. Oh boy, I'm hoping you've seen them. Yeah, if you haven't seen them, what are you doing? Stop what you're doing right now. Go check them out. We get some closing music here. I hope it doesn't get copyright flagged. It probably will. So I might have to turn down the volume for this, so you're not going to be able to hear the music, I'm assuming. We'll see what happens, though. We will see what happens. We're getting a recap here, a slow-mo replay. They must have a lot of time to fill. They're just showing the whole fight in slow motion here. Flicking the eyes. Wink! You didn't see that coming, did ya? Here we go. Okay, do we really need to see the whole fight in half motion, like slow motion? Okay, this is the climax of the music, should be the climax of Murillo Bustamante winning. Don't they understand like how it's supposed to work? And it just go to silence now. Nope, they're just going to replay it. Holy mother of pearl. Is this necessary? Is this really necessary? Do we need to watch the whole fight in slow motion? I've got Sherdog open and I got some little animation of a fucking wombat or something that I keep looking back at. It's a fucking wombat. There's a wombat over there. I keep looking. I'm like, it's a wombat. And Joe Charles has got, either that's his mouth guard, he's got bloody teeth. And we get to see in slow-mo here the sinking in of the arm triangle. And as soon as Murillo gets his head behind that elbow there, he locks it in. He grabs his forearm, and now he sees, okay, it's ready to go. I'm just going to step over here. Yep, I'm going to climb across the cage. There you go. And get into 9 o'clock position. That's tight enough. He could probably go a little higher, maybe to 10 or 11 o'clock on the clock. And just sort of torque it. He doesn't need to. Right there. 9 o'clock. Wow. We really need to see that in slow motion. There we go in the fighter's hug. There's Bustamante. So what would become of our two happening fighters here? Murillo Bustamante. We will actually see him in a couple more prides to come. The next immediate Pride we'll see him at is Pride FC Total Elimination 2003, where he will fight Quentin Rampage Jackson. That should be a good one. After this, though, he would fight at the Mars Reality Super Fighting Tournament. He would fight 3 times that night. He would beat Chris Hassman, Juan Mott, and then he would draw against Tom Erickson. So I guess maybe that tournament finished in a draw. He would fight at Pentagon Combat. Jerry Bolander, he'd beat him with a KO to do an up kick. He'd fight Yoji Anjo at UFC 25. Poor Yoji Anjo. Yoji Anjo would get submitted in the second round. That was in April of 2000. Then, October 2000, he'd fight in his one and only Pancrase event. He would fight that lump of shit, Sine Kakuta. Then he'd fight Chuck Liddell, UFC 33. UFC 35, Dave Manet. Matt Lindland at UFC 37. Then he would get into a nice stretch with Pride. Pride FC Total Elimination 2003. Final Conflict 2003. Final Conflict 2004. Bushido 6. And Bushido 9, which was a tournament. Then he would have a couple more. He would end his career in 2012. Okay, the event's over. That's it. But the event still says I have... I don't know what's happening now. Another video's playing. I'm stuck. There's this rip here I have of Universal Vale Tudo Fighting number 2. Even though we just saw the conclusion of Universal Vale Tudo Fighting number 2, it still has over an hour, or not over an hour to play. I don't know what event this is. It's like a kickboxing? Anyway, I might have to do some investigating to figure out what event that is. Maybe we'll watch that for the next classic MMA revival. Anyway, what would happen with Joe Ghetto Man Charles? Well, after this, he would have a string of losses. He would go having a career total of 6 wins and 13 losses. Immediately after this, he would fight at the World Vale Tudo Championship. So he would jump on a bus, go across town, and fight. Since he was in Brazil, he just stayed there because it was 2 months later, that World Vale Tudo Championships. He just stayed at the beach, just hung out until World Vale Tudo Championships #1. He fought Oleg Taktarov there, and he would lose via knee bar at 4 minutes and 42 seconds. Then I guess he would jump on a plane, go over to Hawaii. Wow, what a life this is. He flies, he gets to go down to Brazil, pick up chicks, go to the beach. Then he gets to go to Hawaii for Super Brawl number 2 and more, chilling out on the beach, picking up babes. Anyway, Super Brawl 2 was a tournament. He would first beat Wes Gassaway, one of the Gassaway brothers, via submission due to strikes. And then he would lose to Pete Williams. Petey, my heart. He would lose to him via knee bar in the first round. Then he would fight, like most of these guys, I keep coming back to it, the IAFC. IAFC had quite a few events. They had the Eurasia Championships. They had the numbered Absolute Fighting Championships. They had the Russian Championships. They had the European Championships. They had a string of fights, a string of fighting events in the mid to late 90s there. So anyway, Joe Charles would go to the Absolute Fighting Championships number 2. He would lose in his first day against Karamula Barkalev. We saw him at the Shidokan Jitsu Classic MMA Revival. You can go see Karamula in that event if you're interested in him. I don't know. And then Joe Charles would fight at UFC 15 and a half, Ultimate Japan 1, losing to Vitor Belfort. He would stop fighting in 2000. His final fight would be against Kengo Watanabe at a Pancrase event, the 2000 anniversary show. In fact, maybe I might do that as a MMA oddity because, wow, Joe the Ghetto Man Charles fought in Pancrase. That is unbelievable. Anyway, fight fans, I've rambled on too long here. The video's been over for like 5 minutes. What did you think of this event? It was a quick one. Wow, every fight pretty much ended in about 3 minutes. Good or bad? It was all right. The event wasn't too bad. Some familiar faces that I love and hate. Can't beat that. It is definitely one for the history books, one to be forgotten. Nothing too memorable about this Universal Vale Tudo fighting event, but I think that was most of the Universal Vale Tudo fighting events. It was the Kmart of the Brazilian MMA fighting promotions. They had some faces. They had some what would become future known faces, some good fighters, but it wasn't, I think, as highly regarded as, say, World Valley Tudo Fighting or um, International Valley Tudo Fighting, which were the two big ones. Universal Valley Tudo Fighting here was kind of like, the GoBots of the Brazilian MMA promotions. Anyway, fight fans, that's all I have. Let me know what you thought of this event in the comments. What was your favorite fight from this event? Did you notice anything stupid or dumb that I missed? Leave a comment. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. And this has been the Most Dangerous Man Alive today. I'll be back soon for more classic MMA revival. See you later.